Okay, so this is the third video in the three-part series over watercolor technique. The first one was over gradation and salt, the second one was over lifting techniques, and this one is going to be over miskit and scratching. So you're going to, I've got my paper, I've got my watercolors, they've all got water in them. I have a bottle of rubber cement, and I have my water over here. So I'm going to start by dividing my paper. And on one side, I'm going to write miskit, and on the other side, I'm going to write scratching, like that. Okay, on the miskit side, I don't really have miskit. I have rubber cement, and it does the same thing. Basically, miskit is a resist material for watercolor that you can remove later, just the same as rubber cement. So I'm going to start with my rubber cement, and I'm going to use a very thin layer. So right out here in the middle, I'm going to paint a thin layer of rubber cement. And I know you can't see that, but it's, yep, can't even see it then. Okay. I'm going to let that dry, and while that is drying, I'm going to go over here to the scratching side. A lot of watercolor brushes have a wedge at the other end of it. That's because you can use this as a drawing tool. So I'm going to use this as a drawing tool. If you don't have a watercolor brush like this, anything that will scratch the surface of the paper. You're wanting to emboss the paper. You don't want to actually scratch the paper itself. So you could use your fingernail, or you could use you know, the end of a regular paintbrush, but be careful. If the paintbrush has paint on it, then you are scratching the paint onto the surface of the paper, and you don't want that. If you have just a plastic paintbrush that's not been painted, then that would work fine. Or, you know, the end of a pen or something like that would be fine too. So up here at the top, I'm going to scratch the surface just like that. All right. Then I'm going to grab some color. All right, I'm going to paint right over the top of the part that I scratched, and then I'm going to bring the color all the way down here. All right. Okay, while it is still wet, I'm going to take the end of my paintbrush again, and I'm going to scratch into the surface. All right. I'm also going to do a little bit of scraping like that. Okay, I did not scratch the paper. I didn't harm the surface of the paper. I just embossed it or scratched over the top of it. Okay, my rubber cement is pretty dry now, so I'm going to finish with that technique on that side. So while that is drying, I'm going to go back over here, grab some color. Go with red this time, and paint right over the top of where I put the rubber cement down. Okay, the rubber cement resists the watercolor, and you can see that it's pooling up the color. I could take my tissue and kind of dab those little pools of color off a little bit, just so that it will dry a little bit faster. All right, while that color is drying, I'm going to come back over here. I want you to notice the difference between what happened when you scratched before and what happened when you scratched after. Okay, there should be a difference there, and I want you to recognize that. Label these before and after. All right, on this side, I'd probably want to let that dry a little bit longer, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next step. Make sure that you have clean hands. All right, my hands probably could be cleaner, but when you're doing this on an actual project, you want to make sure you have clean hands. Anyway, you're going to go over this and start rubbing off. Do you see how I'm pulling off the, oh, it's not dry enough. See, if that were dry, that wouldn't be doing that. I didn't wait long enough. I'm going to start rubbing off the rubber cement. And what I should notice is that what was under the rubber cement stayed white. The paper stayed white and clean, and the color went around it. Okay, why would this be useful? This could be useful whenever you want to paint a background. Maybe you're doing a an animal who has whiskers in front of a sunset or something like that, you would miskit where the whiskers are, go ahead and paint the background, and then you could rub off the miskit, and it looks like the whiskers are still white and untouched. On this side, when would you use the scratching technique? Well, anytime you want to have texture, maybe it's grass or trees or anything like that. So, okay, that's it.